Hi, I'm Rich from Dubai 92 and we've teamed up with Spinneys Eat Well, Live Well to bring you some romantic ideas for this Valentine's Day. Today we're going to be doing the dessert, and what we've picked is a Portuguese dessert called Pastel de Nata. Normally these come in little pastries, but we're going to do a big tart because it's nicer to share for Valentine's Day. So what we need from Spinneys is pastry and a few other ingredients I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so for this tart we will need 500 grams of puff pastry. I bought it pre-made and pre-rolled. It just makes your life a little bit easier. We're going to need cinnamon, both ground and stick, some icing sugar, golden caster sugar, a lemon and some eggs and a little bit of milk, and that's it. Lightly flour your board and lay out your puff pastry. You can use shortcuts for this. The puff pastry is with more butter in will give it a better bake. Just going to overlang that, and then we're going to just dust it with a tiny bit of cinnamon. Sprinkle some icing sugar. And we're going to just slightly roll this up. It doesn't have to be tightly, just loosely, a bit like if you're making a cinnamon swirl. Now starting from the end, we're going to roll this again. You get a nice rosette. Bring this back. Some more flour underneath and on top. We're going to push this out and start rolling it. Now what we're looking for is the cinnamon and the sugar to bleed through and marbleize it. Once rolled out, so it's about a 1/6 of an inch thick, you'll see the beautiful layers and the swirls of cinnamon. We're going to use this now to line a flan tin. You can use a cake tin, about a 22 to 23 centimeter diameter tin. If you have a spring form, it's better. I don't have a spring form, so I'm just going to line a tin, and we're going to blind bake it in the oven for about 10 minutes. Just push it into the tin. If you have any overhang, we can trim that slightly, but we're going to leave a little bit of overhang so when we bake the tart, it won't shrink, and we can cut it off later when we finish the tart. Push it down into the corners, and using a sharp knife, just trim it about a 1/2 inch below the bottom. Cut here, and then I'll do the next bit in a minute. Once you've lined your tin, you can off-cut the pastry and use that to make smaller tarts, but once we've lined this one, we're going to blind bake it. Now what you need is some baking paper, and we're going to just cut it so it fits inside the tart. So the best thing to do is just take a square of baking paper, and you just keep folding it up into triangles until it's fairly small. And then you take it and you point it to the middle, give an extra 2 inches for the tops, and you just rip it. This will give you a circle. And we scrunch this up so it fits better. And then we just drop it in there, and then we fill it with some baking beans or some rice, and we bake it in a preheated oven at 200 degrees centigrade for about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. While the pastry is blind baking, we're going to begin the custard for the tart. So we're going to start off with 350 milliliters of whole milk. To that, we're going to add 150 milliliters of double cream. And we're going to infuse these with flavors before we add the egg. So we're going to add the zest of a lemon. Just lightly grate off. Don't get any of the white bit in it. If you put the white bit in it, it becomes bitter. So we just put a bit of lemon into it. To balance that out, we're going to put a cinnamon stick. And we're going to just put a tiny bit of vanilla. Now if you had a vanilla bean, just half a vanilla bean, mine's already chopped up and diced, so I'm just going to bring that in a saucepan to the boil and allow it to simmer for about 5 minutes and then allow it to cool. After 15 minutes in the oven, you'll see that it's already firmed up, and we're just going to remove the beans, set them aside, and then we're going to trim off the pastry which we don't want. Now using your knife at a 45-degree angle, just slice it around, resting it above the tin. You get a nice cut. You already see the layers of the puff pastry coming through and the smell of cinnamon. Doing this way, you ensure a sharp crust at the end. You have the layers exposed. Now inside the pastry, once you've taken the layer off from the outside, we're just going to brush it with some egg white. This is going to seal it, so when it goes back into the oven, it makes it waterproof, so you get a crispier base. So just line in the inside with the egg white to seal it. And baking it blind with the beans means you've got a flat bottom, so there's no bubbles or raisins in it. So I'm going to return it to the oven for 5 minutes. After 15 minutes of infusing, we're just going to take the milk and we're going to strain it through a sieve just to remove all of the cinnamon and the lemon and the vanilla, leaving a very fragrant base for us for our custard. Move that to slightly cool, and in a separate pan we're going to add 350 grams of golden cast sugar and 185 milliliters of water. We're going to slowly bring that to the boil and bring it up to about 112 degrees centigrade, or just to a nice caramel. That would take about 8 to 15 minutes. So I've just removed the pastry. It's made the seal on it, so when we add the custard, it won't seep into the pastry. Okay, so now we're going to take a clean bowl. I'm going to add 7 egg yolks. And this is going to be our thickening agent, and 50 grams of plain flour. At the moment we've got the custard ready, we have the pastry shell ready, and we have the sugar boiling away on the stove. So in a minute we're going to bring all the 4 elements together and create the tart. So we're going to slightly gradually whisk in the egg yolk to the flour. Once it's all incorporated, we're going to add in the cream mixture while it's still warm into the egg yolks. And we're just going to whisk that together and incorporate it. Strain the mixture again into a saucepan, and we're just going to put this over heat to thicken it before we add the sugar and then pour it into the pastry tin. Once the sugar's got to 112 degrees, now if you don't have a thermometer, don't worry, it should go a little bit darker than this. So you're looking for a very light caramel. So that's almost there. You're going to keep whisking the eggs, because remember you're cooking out to a custard and you've got the flour and the yolks in there, so that will start to thicken quickly. Now, once your sugar's ready, you're going to slowly add it. Slowly. If you put it too fast, it will scramble the eggs. So you need to slowly incorporate it into your custard. Now you've got the lemon flavor, the vanilla, cinnamon, and now you've got the caramel flavors going into this tart. You spend a lot of time doing it, so it shows the person that you love them. Once that's incorporated, we're We're just going to keep thickening that on the heat and cooking out the flour and the egg yolks. If you don't cook the flour out, you'll get that grainy texture to your tart. We're going to pour the custard into the blind baked pastry case, and then we're just going to bake this in the oven for 35 minutes at 180 degrees centigrade. Okay, so after 35 minutes in the oven, it's firm to the touch. Just going to remove the ring. Now you could serve it like this, but traditionally in Portugal they put it back under the grill and they give it a caramelized effect. So we're going to caramelize it. But I'm going to do it using a blowtorch. We're going to put a bit of icing sugar on top just to speed the caramelization. If you wanted to, you could put tin foil around the side of the pastry to stop it burning, but then it is more traditional with a little bit of burn on the pastry. Like I said, this could be done on the grill. Almost like a creme brulee. Place it on the serving plate. You serve this with either fresh cream or creme fraiche.
Your Dubai 92.